Good morning. Happy New Year's to everybody. I'm going to call to order the January 4th, 2022 regular Hancock County Commissioners meeting to order. Before we examine our agenda, I'm going to call a vote for chairman of Hancock County Commissioners for 2022. I'll now open up the floor for nominations.
I'm going to nominate Commissioner Wambacher as chair.
Commissioner Wambach's name has been placed in nomination. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, I'm going to call it nomination cease. I'm going to call the vote. All those in favor of John Wambacher being chairman for 2022 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. John, you are duly elected. We'll take a minute and change places here.
Congratulations.
So everybody's gonna have to be patient with me. This isn't my normal mode of operations.
Oh, come on, you've been here 3 years. You know exactly what it
Great
is.
so far.
Go to disclaimer on there. Cover yourself.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Do we have any adjustments to the agenda?
I'm going to move to approve the agenda as presented with the exception of adding item 12I, Northeast Development Workforce Board.
Second the motion?
Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 So I gotta get used to writing different initials now.
At this point, is there any public comment?
See any other?
Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 2, our meeting minutes.
I'm going to move to approve the minutes of the December 21st Commissioner's Special Meeting as presented.
Second the motion?
Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Is Kitty on the call?
She is not, I don't believe, I excused her, John is here.
Yep. John, can you give us an update on the ARP?
Happy New Year. So I was, except I wasn't ice fishing on Saturday. So, yeah, we continue to meet with a few towns. We are, as examples, I'll say, two of the towns, I'll say Gooseboro and Winter Harbor, we're at that spot we were talking about when they hadn't started anything. So we're helping them kind of create that broadband committee. Because they're, starting to think about it, they know they need it, would love to have better broadband, but haven't really done anything yet. We met with the town of, gonna say Vinyl, they have the wrong one. What's that?
North Haven?
No, down Rhode Island.
Oh.
And, they have an example of, they have a carrier that covers pretty much the entire island, and they got a 2-mile stretch that wasn't really developed at the time and now has developed. And so what we've done in that case is we know the carrier, so we connected them with the carrier and start a conversation there and see what can happen, from that standpoint. So I use those as examples because you can see that there's a variety of things that are happening throughout every piece of Hancock County. So the next piece that we have initiated is actually reaching out to the carriers, that service Hancock County today. Start to have meetings with them through the month of January and help understand where they're at and what plans they may have that they can at least share with us, and they will, maybe a little bit better on their mapping that we can kind of drill down in. So that'll be going on this month. We should get most of those accomplished by the end of the month. We're usually pretty, I won't say eager, but willing to meet, on a short basis. So that should be good.
John, some time ago, last year, there was a community who had a broadband committee who found out that everybody was wired to the pole. They just didn't get wired from the pole to the house because there was a change in ownership of the. You remember that?
Locally here,
Yeah, that was here in Hancock County. No, well, I was just curious if, as you're reaching out to these, if any of them have identified they might be in the same situation, that somewhere along the way, the service got put to a certain point and not
not
connected.
extended.
Yeah,
We can look at some of them, maybe we'll come across, there's certainly, we get on the cable side of the house, they call them franchise agreements. And so each town that had cable TV has a franchise agreement, and within that franchise agreement, this is done for, broadband, but it still holds, is they would only build out, with so many houses per mile, because that's a return on investment. Again, even with cable TV, they do return on investment, so they would only build out so far. And then if they were private or long driveways, they wouldn't extend down those because it would wait, because it caused a cost. And so they didn't want to share the cost with the property owner, or they just, it wouldn't happen. So something like that, piece of that. And then the next meeting, I believe we have scheduled for Susan Corbett in the National Digital Equity Center will give us a presentation, which would be good. And then again, just kind of recap on that, what she does is really work with educational side of it, so whether it's any age, but certainly we can talk about aging in place and how people want to can use, I'll say, devices, not all just computers, but devices that can connect to the internet. So maybe they need telehealth services, so maybe they just want to, meet with their grandchildren, so to speak. But certainly that aging, she'll do it all ages. It's an education, but she also through her digital equity center, they have the ability, for funding as well as some of these devices. So they can actually put devices, computers, whatever may be in homes, people that may not have it. So it'll be a good presentation. Should be good with that.
So where do you think right now we are with, because I know you were kind of saying at the beginning of the year.
No.
Yeah, this quarter, I guess we could say, we're going to start to see some of the towns that are,
I have some ready for you.
it's okay. So when do you think?
We can, I'll talk with Scott. I don't know about the next meeting. I'd like to do it at the next meeting, but we just gotta talk about time. I don't want to take up, whatever time I'm allowed, if you will. But yeah, at the next meeting, we'll have a couple that I want to put in front of you and say, hey, here's some opportunity to look at the funding and see if it makes sense.
I would say it's probably, the commission's not so much a time restriction as maybe limit the number of, bring a couple and let's work with those, or
We'll have,
if there's something to finalize, or, you and I can talk. We'll come up with a game plan.
yeah, we'll have, I know there's two. I don't know if there's three, but it's definitely two.
Yeah.
well, it seems to me that as they're ready, regardless of how many you have, I think we should get on it.
Yeah, we just start that
Yeah.
process and have you guys see what we back through and then.
The second meeting of every month, John, too, is a better meeting for us. We have more free time on the second
That's
meeting,
good.
so load her up and,
Yep.
if you've got it,
Yep.
let's devote the time
Yep.
to it.
Absolutely.
Anything else?
That's what I know today.
All righty, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Do we have Miller?
I did not see him on the screen, so I think we're all set with him.
And I move on to Leroy at the airport.
Hi, Leroy.
He's muted.
Yeah, I think.
You're on mute, right, Leroy?
Well, we'll try that again. Just the two items, I got monthly report, if you want to take action on that one, and then the request for approval to go to an RFP for security camera systems for the terminal building, replace that. that's a 20, probably close to a 20-year-old system, and it's really outdated.
So I'm gonna move to file airport manager's report dated December 27th as presented.
Second motion.
Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 So I'd like to request the approval to go out for an RFP to replace the security camera system in the airport's terminal building. It appears that from the conversations I've had, that's been in there since just after the 9/11 attacks. That was a byproduct of that. Chuck was out last summer trying, because I needed one of the cameras is actually missing. Then he found out that the operating system in the computer is working on a very old Windows system, and dug a little deeper and found out that the system itself won't be supported after, matter of fact, after the first of this year. So the manufacturer doesn't even support the total system anymore. So and talking with Scott, he'd like to be able to remote access some of the cameras down here. So it's coming up on time.
Do you have those funds?
Yeah, because we used a lot of our COVID fund money to reimburse the operating expenses, because that's where we could use it. So we have some operating expense money that I believe Scott went into unassigned funds.
I'd actually, it was open. Yeah,
How's the relationship between our, obviously needing to do the upgrade at the jail and us needing to do the upgrade at the airport? I mean, how are they informing one another? I mean, I guess I'm kind of wondering in the process. I mean, obviously they're two different RFPs, but I don't know, I guess I'm just curious how we're coordinating it.
well, my intent would be to definitely let one vendor, coordinate the vendors to see if they're interested in bidding. And secondly, I'm not, the vendor may not meet like jail standards, or could possibly not meet airport standards. I don't know, but we'll identify what the needs are and definitely pass it out. But yeah, definitely communicate between the two and, offer them the opportunity to, take a stab at both of them, really.
Well, just for maintenance of the system, it'd be nice to have two compatible systems, so I think the timing's right. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna move to approve the development of an RFP to replace the security camera system at the airport, in the airport terminal building.
Second the motion. Leroy, is that something you write yourself? You gotta find somebody to write that RFP for you?
I'm gonna work with Scott and all the troops. I need to get with Pat also, and then we'll figure out from there what we really need. There's a couple of spots, the departures area doesn't have any cameras in it, including the screening area has no cameras. And so I think this is the time to add some cameras on top of what we already have. So I think it's going to be a process, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely seems like you're right. This is the time to do it. I don't want us to make the mistake of not covering what we need to get covered while we have the funds to do it. So.
Right. And with Tim, looking for something for the jail, that kind of put me in a little faster track. That was all. So I think, if we can kind of get everything together, either under, two separates, but compatibility would be awfully nice, especially for support in the backside.
Any other discussion?
Well, does TSA have input on, both as to system design, but possibly with funding?
I don't think there's probably any funding there, but I definitely will reach out to them to find out what, what we can and can't do. And that would be more in that whole departure side, there may be places that they don't want cameras to be. So there's definitely some interaction with them prior to making any adjustments to that. I know the screener, I talked to a screener and he said it saved him in the terminal building one time. Somebody accused him of removing something out of a bag, but they went back and looked at the cameras and, he was correct and so he said, this is just one of the supervisor screeners that he would love to have something in the screenings, in the actual screening departure side.
Thanks, Jeff. Part of the conversation will be is asking questions, to develop the RFP, which these are questions I've already had applied to Leroy. Same questions, basically in the jail. And if we can coordinate, Tim, they can take a look at each of others' RFP. If there's an opportunity to coordinate them, we'll certainly take advantage of it if both sides agree. Can do separate RFPs, separate, bidding process if that's the wish. Because really it seems like camera system, like when we found out when we upgraded ours here, there were some pretty reasonable choices. They need a little bit more specifics and quality, down in I'm assuming especially in the jail and reliability and whatnot. Those are the other quickies. Oh, so the motion, and I noticed that when Commissioner Parity read it, talks about the terminal building, but I think as Leroy pointed out, we're actually kind of looking at the entire campus, areas where we can have better security, better visual, such as down by the wharf where we've had a couple opportunities to possibly create some rental revenue. But this last instance turned out that there was no security down there, so it was a little hesitancy to store anything down there without that option. So, yep.
Okay, so with that said, if it's okay with the second, I would amend my motion to read, move to approve the development of an RFP to replace the security camera system at Bar Harbor, Hancock County.
And I'd second that motion.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
That's all I got.
Thanks, Leroy.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Sheriff?
Good morning. Congratulations, Commissioner Wambacher, on being elected chairman. I guess the first thing on mine is bid openings for the cruisers, and I'll give you a little bit of background. Pat had a conversation with PJ one day last week from Darley's, and PJ had spoken to the Northeast representative of General Motors, who are the manufacturers of the Tahoes that we are slowly trying to transition into. And they advised PJ that there would be no 2022 Tahoes available. They're not going to manufacture them. But in the late spring, early summer, they are going to go into production for 2023s, which should be available, according to them, at some point next fall. So 2022s are off. You should have bids. What I requested was for 2022, so you should have bids. We may have to rebid or whatever. I don't know what's in the envelopes that you have. I suspect you have two. And then we can go from there. But that's the latest update we have as far as availability on what's going to be there.
We only had one.
You only had one bid?
Yes.
Supposed to, before you open it, there's supposed to be a second.
We were watching for a second.
Yeah, we did. Okay, so okay.
Yeah, received it.
But does the sheriff have indication that there's gonna be a second bid?
Well, I sent them out to Quirks, and Leo responded to me a day or two after I had sent them out and said that he had sent in a quote. And I suspect that's what you have. And I was under the impression that PJ was going to do the same. The last conversation that I had with him a couple of weeks ago.
This is from.
But I had bid 2022, so I don't know if that's why you don't have a second one or not. But that model is not going to be available. It's not going to be until late next fall, or some point next fall before we can get anything, and they'll be 2023s.
Maybe that had, maybe that's a different story. I'm questioning whether we should open that or not, but it sounds like this is deadline, this is day that we're supposed to open.
I just checked downstairs and there's nothing, so.
Well, let's hold on for a minute, John. Sheriff, you certainly are aware that Ford now is making a cruiser pickup. I understand Ellsworth has ordered one. I don't know if they've gotten it yet or not and whatnot. Is that something you would consider as an
No,
option?
I don't want, with all due respect to Fords and Ford fans, they're just too difficult. They're not a patrol vehicle. There's no room in them. We have one in the fleet. Deputy McFarland has one. He had requested one, and having been here for many, many years, we allowed him to have a pickup. They're really not anything. There's no, as far as service, we have to go to either Belfast or Bangor. So it's a headache to getting service. So I'd really like to stay away from Fords if I possibly can. And again, pickups, I'm really not interested in pickups unless we don't have any other choice.
Well, let's see what's in there. So,
That may just be the same information that we got from Darlings that's in there. I don't know what Leo sent.
Yeah, you have the right to reject anything else.
so they had, so this is from Cork,
Or Leo.
and Howell. And it's listed for a 2021 Chevy Tahoe, four-wheel drive. 21? Yeah. They got leftover? Did Leo mention he had leftover?
He
Scott?
had two that he had that really were the ones that we had originally ordered, and he couldn't get them. And he said that they had been spoken for, and he would let me know if they were available. So if he's got 2021s, I think we should jump on it if they're available. And he may have as many as two. That's what he told me.
So that's what his bid is for two 2021 Chevy Tahoes. But one of the notes on it, just so you know, says subject to availability, which is underlined.
Right, he had Commissioner, he had two more ordered, and that may be what he's bidding. And he did not know whether he was going to get them or not. He ordered them on a Monday and was notified by GM on a Thursday of the same week that they had canceled the order. So in anticipation that he may get them, that may be what he's basing that bid on. And I would suggest we strongly consider if he can get those, we should pick them up. The ones we have are 2021s. These obviously would be new equipment. And
Well, the only other option would be to wait till this fall and bid the 23s, right?
that's correct. As soon as they let us know when we could request those bids.
Sounds to me like there's any harm in accepting these bids for these two, and if they don't come in, we're no farther behind.
We were in the same situation last spring, Commissioner, and we ended up getting those four out of state. Leo couldn't get them. So,
I'm sorry, Scott, give me that again, please.
no, I'm sorry. I said last spring, we were in the same situation. He couldn't get them. And he pointed us towards the dealer in Massachusetts where we bought four. And just for information's sake, we contacted that dealer last year when this crunch started, and he had 10 of them sitting on the lot. And he wouldn't sell them to us. He said, I've got customers down here that are probably going to be interested in them. So that, and I contacted dealers in New York and Pennsylvania and got the same results. They didn't have anything on hand. And that's what I'm being led to believe is that what they get is what they order. There is no in-stock inventory that's available. So if you order something You should be able to get them, is what I'm told.
Okay, Scott, I'm going to move that the sheriff be authorized to purchase two 2021 Chevy Tahoes from Quirk Auto at the cost of $40,738 each, subject to the availability. Okay,
Seconded,
Sounds good to me. I'll call Leo today.
seconded,
That's each.
40,000 each.
40,738.
Okay, and you said two.
Two at 40,000. So
Which is a total of $81,476. So when we normally do the bids, I feel like, don't we normally have a trade-in that's listed for it right now?
We don't have anything with trading this time, Commissioner.
Okay, thank you.
We've got to replenish our used, our spare inventory.
So if we call a vote, I still have some questions. If we call a vote.
Any other discussion?
Well, I guess by discussion, Scott, where are these going? Who's going to get these assigned?
Oh, I don't have that list. I sent that list up to you last time. I believe Dakota Dupree is going to be one of them. And as I say, I don't have that list in front of me. We sent that up last meeting.
Well, I see Hunter is using a spare, so that sounds, and Carmen Jennings has got 124,000 on his, so.
Yeah, but Hunter and Cameron will go 2 weeks from today, will be headed to the academy for 18 weeks. So I think we'd be better served to put those in, somebody that's here patrolling full time, all the time, if we get them. And
You don't have anybody else that needs them. Who
we
else?
identified 4.
Pardon?
We identified 4 people that needed them.
Well, you're not going to get Chris Thornton a brand new vehicle.
No, not at all. No,
Well, that's one of the 4 that you had highlighted, but
the 4th one would be if we can fill that position that was approved in the budget, that extra position.
well, the first 2 hires that you get are going to replace Luke, and I understand Jeff is retiring this month and next month, so that's going to be the first 2 hires. You're going to have to replace those 2 before you talk about a new hire.
Yeah, but both of those vehicles aren't due to replace. Jeff's pickup doesn't have,
Those new hires, that new hires will get those vehicles though.
yes,
So they're not gonna need a new vehicle. The next 2 hires is gonna be replacing Luke and Jeff. Luke and Jeff's cruisers are still available, so those cruisers will go to the 2 next hires. So they won't get a new vehicle.
no, no.
Okay, well, it's kind of irrelevant. I mean, okay. As I look here, even if Carmen and Hunter are going to be in the academy for the next 4 months, they're going to need a cruiser when they get out, or they're on the list. So
Correct.
Dakota definitely is one of these new ones,
That's right.
and you don't know who the next one is.
So like I said, I don't have that list in front of me. I didn't realize or anticipate that those questions were going to be asked. We discussed it at the last meeting.
We didn't discuss who the cruisers are going to.
You requested the paperwork and who they were going to be
I've
for.
got the paperwork in front of me, and I'm trying to, based on the paperwork, I'm trying to determine who you're going to give these to.
Well, I guess we'll have to sort that out if and when we get some cruisers. We need 4 to get into our fleet.
Okay. All right. Call a vote.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. I think that's, if Leo can come through with those, I think that's a good idea. Thank you. Second thing I have is the approval of transfer of forfeited assets, State of Maine versus Richard Kelly in the amount of $7,440. I believe that paperwork was sent up to you. This is the initial paperwork that's the county would sign, saying that we'll accept that.
I don't think we have that paperwork.
It was requested, I believe, and was sent upstairs.
The court order for the disposition of the
Yeah, we have.
Mercedes-Benz was Sent up, no.
We've
Well, I
got
have
the,
the paper, I have the paperwork here, Commissioners. I'll get it up for you.
all right, now that,
That's just the initial step, Commissioner, like we did with this
Right.
final.
I'm just concerned every time I get those and whatnot, the old forms used to forfeit that to the sheriff's department. It had to be corrected to the county of Hancock. Does that say county of Hancock on it?
It does.
Okay. Then the motion is in order.
Okay, I have a question. On the next item, the memo actually says, the final order grants the Waldo County Sheriff's Department possession
In the letter, right?
in the letter, but
Yeah.
not in the order. So I'm wondering what the
Yeah, they just used,
letter says.
they used a form letter and didn't change the order is the one that we're concerned about. Paul.
Okay, so, but in the order, it says, okay, Hancock County, Maine, okay.
Yeah.
So if that order is consistent with this order, then,
That is consistent with one order.
well, this order talks, excuse me.
These are two different
This-
matters.
yeah, no,
The forfeiture, accepting the forfeiture is a different case than the Mercedes-Benz.
That's Richard Kelly.
One of these is the first step in the process, one of them is the last step.
Okay, so we have not, okay, so now I understand.
So if we
Move to
take,
approve the transfer of forfeited assets in the state of Maine versus Richard Kelly in the amount of $7,444 into account G13-3, no, leave that out,
$7,440.
period.
Yeah.
Okay. So my motion is move to approve the transfer of forfeited assets in the state of Maine versus Richard Kelly in the amount of $7,444, period.
$40, not
Excuse
44.
me, $7,440.
I think you got it now.
Yeah. I keep trying too many.
Right, Billy, this is the first step, right?
Seconded.
you seconded, yeah. I just trying to think of the appropriateness of that. I guess that's correct. The reason I'm hesitant is that we're not going to get that full amount, Paul. What
We
happens?
get 80%, Commissioner.
We only get 80% of that, so I'm just, but I don't think it hurts the motion to say,
Yeah, I think you just read it as written, right? That's the award and how much we get, unless you want to leave it out.
no, no, it could be up into that amount.
Right.
And we know it's not going to be. All right, motion made second. I'm satisfied with that too.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. The third one is approved to sell 2005 Mercedes-Benz civil drug forfeiture. And this paperwork kind of outlines what this last discussion was about. You'll see the amount was $1,220 in currency, and Hancock County will be awarded $976. So you'll see that's where the discrepancy is. Hancock County has, that is the arrangement we have with the state, that when it comes to cash, we receive 80%. So this one is just allowing us to sell that Mercedes, and realistically, that Mercedes isn't going to bring a whole heck of a lot of money. We went up the other day to start it and the wheels are frozen. And when I say frozen, not because of the cold, it's frozen for some other reason. And we had a discussion with PJ, and he said, if we can get the wheels turning, we could get it out to Darlings, and they can put that on a website that can go nationwide, and people can bid on it. And he said we would probably get a heck of a lot more money, and I don't know what that heck of a lot more money amount is than we would to sell it, put it on the lawn and sell it here. So I guess what I would ask is permission to have a discussion with Darlings to see, I guess if it's going out to bid, it really doesn't make a whole heck of a lot of difference where we put it to bid, does it? We should put it where we can get the most money.
Well, my motion is going to be purposely vague there, leave that the discretion of you and the county.
We'll keep you informed, and I think that's really, at this point, is the best avenue. If we get the wheels turning, we'll get it out there and see what he can get for offers on it that way.
Okay, so I'm gonna move to approve the sale of the 2005 Mercedes-Benz civil drug forfeiture with the proceeds going to account G13-3-1350, Sheriff's Office Drug Task Force account.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. We'll take care of it. And as I say, we'll keep you posted. I'll get that other document up to you. So Chairman Wambacher, you can sign that one so that we can get that process going on. Last thing I have on mine is the approval of Robert McFettridge as part-time deputy effective January 1, 2022 at step 12A with no benefits from account E12-01-3003 airport part-time. That name should ring a bell with you, Commissioner Clark. You hired him back in 1986.
What a blast from the past.
Yeah, Stonington won at that time. It's when really we were in beginning contracts with Stonington. Since he left us, he's been with Wiscasset and he retired as a detective with Lincoln County. And he reached out to Pat saying that he'd be available to help us, but he's limited on how much he can earn and how much he can work. But any shifts that he can help us with down to the airport is going to help us tremendously. So I just asked for his approval to be hired part-time.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? So Sheriff, when we hire someone like this that's gonna be part-time, what other expenses do we have to infer from it?
We'll get his uniforms and those types of things. He's already qualified, so he has his own firearm. And he should have his own leather gear and those types of things. So really, it's just uniforms and those types of things. I suspect he probably still has his bulletproof vest and that. So he obviously will need a jacket and that.
Thank you.
Oh,
Good vote.
Yep. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Just for, hang on, Sheriff, just for clarification, did we get the $976 in the last motion or just the Mercedes?
It's the Mercedes.
Sheriff, there's 970.
We're looking to sell the Mercedes, and obviously the cash will come and we'll accept it the way we always have.
Didn't we already take action to accept the
But
money?
you're all set with it.
Right, we don't have to take action to accept the court order. We have to take action
Okay.
to tell the court
Yep.
that we would take it if they gave it. The only thing we did with the Mercedes is authorize the sheriff to sell it.
Right, you're right, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
We're all-
well, good, thanks.
Thanks, Sheriff.
Thank you.
Jim?
One, just give me 2 minutes. Hey, how are you? Congratulations, Commissioner. Chair Wambacher, glad to have you in that seat. I just have one quick thing this morning. If you're ready, I'll move forward with it.
Please.
Approval to hire Anthony Wardwell of Bucksport as part-time on-call as needed corrections officer at step 9A with no benefits effective January 8th, 2022.
So moved.
Second,
Discussion? Well, I'm happy to see that Bucksport's getting some hires out of this. So I'm obviously going to be in favor of this. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 You get a little cut or that's on the record.
And I'd just like to say that I'm all on board with Leroy to work with him on the RFP, see if we get something combined. I have a vendor that would like to come in because I've had issues with finding a starting point for an RFP for a jail. Every jail has kind of done their own thing. So I'd really like to work with him as we draft some RFPs and try to get everything working in one direction.
Tim, before you go, Scott Atkins, I don't see anything on the agenda today with an update on the union negotiations. We've submitted is there?
There is no update right
There's nothing,
right now.
we have nothing, no information. Okay, Tim, I was just gonna, if there was, bring you into that discussion, but there is no update yet on our last counter proposal, so.
But if I could, Chair and Commissioner, I do know it was kind of it was a quick meeting the last time, and I'm certainly more than happy to update either one of you, both of you. So I think at this point it would be okay to send that via email.
Tim, did you have some other items that you were gonna go over with us?
I did not. We pushed everything because we're trying to put everything together. I didn't want to take your time because I don't have answers, so I don't want to ask any questions until I get an idea where we're going. So that's all I have for today.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Sheriff?
Yeah, just a couple things. I hope I'm included on that email as far as what the status of the union negotiations are. On following up on your comment about Bucksport residents, we currently have 3 deputies that live in Bucksport over there now. So I just thought I'd throw you out that too.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, now we're going to item 8, RCC. Bob,
Good morning, can you hear me?
a little quiet.
I was trying a headset there. I guess it's not gonna work. Can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Okay. Good morning. Congratulations, Commissioner Weinbacher. We had a pretty busy month. Our call volume at the end of the year is substantially higher than the last couple of years. We closed out 911 calls, over 19,000 calls this year. We had 16,000 some last year. And our business line calls were a little higher as well. Otherwise than that, that's pretty much all I really have for you. I did mention about an aftermarket iron responding program in my report, highlighting the last couple of days. We've had a lot of departments that are not getting their text messages that are not using iron responding. So I think in the future, I believe the Fire Association may approach you for some assistance in getting that for all fire departments, for responders. That's a secondary method of communications that many departments are using, including my own, that work very, very well. So I think we'll be coming to you at some point in the future. Hancock County does provide it for their departments. I think the last time I talked to them, it was about $20,000. We have less departments, so I'm sure it'll be less. But I don't know what that cost is right now, so we'll approach that at another time. I just wanted to bring that to your attention that we are having issues. Right now, the departments that are not using iron responding, Chuck Carter is kind of on the hook to administer all those members of those departments, which is very time consuming when he has to troubleshoot problems, which he's having to do right now. That kind of puts the onus on the departments. We just send one message to iron responding and they parse it out. And that's a backup to the radio system.
That probably would qualify for our funds. Everything.
Yeah, I think right up front it sounds, yeah, but if it's an annual thing, I mean, that might be something else to consider as well, but at least get started or, unbudgeted, then, yeah.
It would be an annual recurring cost. So that's
Of the 20,000,
well, I think it'd be under 20,000.
19,900, yeah.
Probably. Yeah, I'm having a hard time capturing the numbers that they need to give us a good quote, but only because there's so much mutual aid.
20 grand for?
That's, what is it? It's IM responding, right?
It is iron responding. Yeah, it's a third-party text notification, and there's a lot of we have the ability at the RCC. We have what's called, it's a free to us. It's a dispatch screen where we can see all of the fire departments in Hancock County, who they have available, who they have going to calls. We can see their incidents as well, but we can also send them messages, which we did the night that the radios failed, which is in my report. We utilized that with the departments that were on there, which was very, very helpful.
Bob, can you just briefly, from your fire chief's hat, explain for the commission what exactly the system does?
So initially, we get a call here at the RCC, and as soon as the department is assigned on the CAD, there's a text alert that goes out to the fire department, all the members in the fire department, with the address, the nature of the call. There's a phone app that they can use that gives them driving directions to the call. You can
In that department, Bob?
yes, and if you share with your mutual aid partners, they can see your call, get directions from where they currently are to that incident. There's messaging, which we use in my department, so we don't tie up sending out message tones all the time over county fire. We have a meeting on Wednesday night. We send everybody a text, don't forget to come to meetings, so we don't have to tie up the radio with message tones. The department can put numerous things on their mapping system that they're in charge of, like hydrants, water supplies, landing zones for life flight, which we see here at the RCC. And if the department share with the mutual aid partners, for example, if the town of Castine needs Orland Fire Department to go down to do a water supply, they can, they say go to this particular spot. We can see that on a map. The RCC can provide driving directions to those as well to get there. And there's a lot of internal benefits, but the big benefit for us, number one, is Chuck doesn't have to go in and manage 37 members of the Orland Fire Department every time somebody gets a new phone or changes their phone number. We've had some problems with Verizon just the last month or so, where every time that Verizon does an update or it throws off the entire system. And right now we've got 4 or 5 departments that everybody with a Verizon phone, they're not getting their text messages, and it's not very useful. Just as a background, we got the county paid for rapid notification 6-7 years ago, and back when Jason Ingalls was kind of managing that, it was the invitation went out to the fire departments to get on board with that, and it was going through a Google Groups and Gmail, and each time that they do an update, it completely throws it off.
So who are we paying the 20,000 to? For
Well,
what?
that would be the company I am responding that operates that program. So what we do is we send the text, we send an email to them. They parse it out to the fire department and say, hey, you've got to call it 123 Main Street. It's a third party program.
That guess of $20,000, is that for the entire county or just the additional departments?
That's the entire, well, that's what Penobscot pays. They've got 34, 35 fire departments on their under their dispatching, and that's what they're paying here. I suspect ours would be less.
So less, and because a lot of departments in Hancock County already use this, as I understand.
Correct.
Yeah.
And there's a cost involved with that to each department. If they have 100 calls or less, it's $300 a year per department. If they have 101 calls or more a year, it's $800. So that's where it gets a little dicey with, like, my department. We're averaging now about 110 calls a year. So we're looking at probably another year or so, paying almost 3 times what we're paying now. But I think under a county contract, it would be just a set fee.
So the 20,000 isn't in addition to the 800.
No. That would basically, it would just shift the payment from departments having to pay for it to just falling under the RCC or the county, just providing that service.
And there would be, operationally, that would make a lot more sense. I get that, because you would have better interaction between departments as you're thinking.
Right. And it gives us, again, the ability for another method of providing them with dispatch information that, messaging and all those other, we can do regional broadcasts through that. We get a red flag day, or, there's a, major incident somewhere, or, that instead of having to go out and send one to every fire department or call every dispatch agency, we can do one blast. RCC's down, or the Forest Service is shutting down burn permits for the day. That can go out to everybody at one little message, and everybody gets it.
Well, Bob, personally speaking, I think this is something the county should do in support of our fire agencies. But it's a little distressing. Here we are, the first meeting in January.
Yeah.
First meeting of this budget year.
Mhm.
And I'm a little distressed that we didn't get this information 6 weeks ago, put it in the RCC budget and pay it.
Well, this
Now-
this is something that we've just been talking about recently with these problems. It's something that we've kind of thought about in the future. And I'm not coming to you today asking to pay for it this year. I think that the fire association is going to kind of work with that and come to you.
Need to iron this out a little bit better and bring it back.
Yeah, and
We weren't, I didn't have the information to come and ask. Again,
Yeah.
it wasn't an emergent issue 6 weeks ago.
Well, as it develops, if we had to build it into the budget.
yeah, and I took your memo, it was not an ask, it was keeping us informed, and the way I see it, it might be an opportunity to, use our funds the first year.
In your monthly report, the number 2 bullet point about the phone exchanges, what's the resolution to that problem?
Well, at this point, there really isn't one. Just to kind of give you a background with where it was Verizon and Fairpoint, now consolidated, if that town is isolated, for example, fiber line breaks somewhere between here and there, the 911 calls, as long as that town and the fire department or the designated place are all customers of Consolidated, any 911 call rings to that designated fire station, for example. That's how it was always set in the past. They're trying to figure out a better way to do this. Because these towns that have gone to private phone companies, whether it's VoIP or internet phones, it's kind of a consolidated program. So they're trying to identify, I've got the memo that I just got, doesn't seem to be I don't think there's a lot of towns in Hancock County that really affects, but each time that somebody goes out and shops for a better way, those calls don't go where they're supposed to go. And we're trying to figure out as a state, how can we fix that? If that makes sense.
So I'm going to move to accept and file the RCC director's December report as presented.
Second,
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 And we have the maintenance director's report.
Thank you, Bob.
Thanks, Bob.
Have a good day. Do we have Dave?
Yeah, Dave's on there.
Oh, okay, I'm
Yes,
sorry.
he was, yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, Dave.
He's muted.
Can you hear us, Dave? You're on mute.
He's trying to be.
Go.
There you go.
Muted now.
No, won't unmute.
You're unmuted.
Yeah, you're
You're good.
working now.
Yeah.
Okay,
Great.
good morning, commissioners.
Good morning.
So you've got Dennis's report in front of you. He is on vacation this week, but I'm happy to answer any questions you might have on the report.
So I'm going to move to accept and file facility director's report as presented in his memo dated December 27th.
Second,
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Sure. Yep, thank you.
You got the drain all fixed, huh? Did I see that?
Yes, yep,
Okay, good, thanks.
we're all back in business.
Thank you. Right. Now we have our treasurer's report.
Move to approve the monthly bills and warrants as presented.
Second,
Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Aye. Hello.
Hello. I also wanted to let you know that in your ARP binders, the financials have been updated year to date. So if you have any questions there. And by the hopefully by the next meeting, we should have the financial reports for the fourth quarter of 2021 updated.
Yeah, I'll amend what I told, yeah, no, we'll probably, more
May
than
not be
likely
the
won't,
next.
it'll be the following meeting because of the end of the year stuff.
Oh, grab that one. Grab that one. Please.
Sign on the way by.
So as Scott said, it may not be the next meeting, but the first meeting in February before we have.
End of the year stuff. Financials, fourth quarter, 21 financials.
For all plans, not just our.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Anything else for us?
No.
You know, I've said several times and whatnot, we go to great lengths to create our budget at the beginning of the year. We really don't take any time to see how well our departments did at the end of the year with the budgets that they were given to manage. So I really like to, at some point, be able to evaluate how well we did in crafting that budget. And I think one of the things, and Scott and I don't agree on this, one of the things I'm concerned about is departments that just want to increase a nominal amount every year, regardless of what they use, just to build in some cushion. Scott likes that because that's undesignated at the end of the year. He can help too with the overall budget. But anyways, I still would like to see those year-end figures and have a brief discussion on evaluating how well we did.
We've also started the RFP process.
Yeah, so exactly.
The banking RFPs for the banking services for the county.
Yeah.
And we've sent the RFP out by email to 10 institutions, and we're starting to hear back from them. And it's going to be advertised in the Ellsworth American this week,
Is there a deadline for submission?
February 14th.
Sounds good. Just keep us updated.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
All right. Scott,
Yep, so I guess,
set the mileage
Rebecca,
for,
sorry, go ahead.
we need to set the mileage for,
No, we got a kind of COVID update too.
oh, that's right.
11.
Yeah, COVID, oh, yep, so we just have a little update. And I guess I'll take the lead, you jump in anytime, Beck, I mean, with everything going on. So first off, with regards to the ETS, I believe it's still scheduled to be before the Supreme Court this Friday. First deadline is Monday. So I can tell you, we're not the only one wondering what the heck to do and scrambling. My emails that are going back and forth amongst both municipal and county leadership are all kind of one and the same. You know, there's been some different methods of testing. For example, probably the most detailed is Roostick right now is looking at in-house because they've got a couple of different locations in their county government. Couple of different third-party providers, and then within the confines of the campus right there, they'll do it in-house where it's close to the jail, hopefully using the jail in our setting with their intent. Again, this all hinges upon what happens on Friday or, you know, when an answer comes about. Here, what we've done is we've prepped about as well as we can. Beck's done an excellent job with it. Did you give them the form?
No, but I've got it right here.
Okay.
Sorry.
So I'll hand you the form. We thought the very first step for the commission. The first step in all of this, of course, is collecting the data. So what Rebecca has done is developed a form just for that purpose. Thanks. I'll give that to you for review. As I throw it around. And again, this is simply just to collect vaccination status and the options provided by CDC guidelines for backup of that. And really, aside from that, we're just in the position to wait and hear what the next directive is. Beck, I'm going to, you jump in here on this, but I'm going to kind of paraphrase the email you sent me yesterday, which was essentially, so as we know, the state of Maine falls under kind of the process of if OSHA we have that agreement, that federal agreement, if OSHA develops a rule that that's the minimum standards for the state of Maine as well. What we've discovered through the states, to get that off the state's OSHA website, was that there's a 30-day implementation period for that. Like the rest of the questions, what does that exactly mean? Does that mean that's okay, so it's 30 days from the January 11th, 10th or 11th, that Monday guideline before? The important piece, I think, to express is that out of all of this, the communication is that they're not going to come in hardcore enforcement right off the bat. I mean, it wouldn't be a good idea. It's not prudent. It's just not, it's not the right process. However, what is the right process is what we've already done is be prepared. We're progressing. We've got a plan in place, and we respond accordingly.
So how long, this gets held off until we get to the point when,
Well, that's the discussion, I think, for today, right? Is if the commission wants that sent out ASAP and start, if that would make you more comfortable. Personally, I would rather wait until we had to.
Yeah.
But I am aware of others that are already doing it, so.
Because this is ever evolving and whatnot, it hasn't been talked about recently, or at least I haven't heard it, whatnot, but I'm wondering why we're in the business if we shouldn't be asking in that second box about the booster.
Yeah, that's a really good question. We talked about that yesterday, actually, because in the original ETS, the definition of fully vaccinated was very specific. But now CDC guidelines are treating people who don't have a current booster. There's some time left for that, but if you don't have your booster, they're treating you the same as someone who is unvaccinated.
Really?
Yeah.
So doesn't that,
Well, there's talk of both ways, right? Is that,
So that's the guidance that the US CDC gave, but it's all up in the air.
Yeah.
I mean, Scott touched on a little bit, but I think one thing that we have in our favor is that since we have since we have an OSHA approved state plan, that buys us a little bit more time. The state said that they're not going to enforce anything before February 17th. And the testing requirements won't go into effect until March 19th. So that's a good question.
okay, and also I'm wondering too, on that third box.
Yep.
If thinking that there may be some people out there just waiting to get down to the wire, if we shouldn't say something like, I'm not vaccinated, nor do I intend to vaccinate, in the same box. Then an asterisk is somewhere down below. That asterisk would say that you, under ETC, you could be required to test weekly. You know what I mean? Tell them what the results of that is. Gentlemen, what do you think? We should take the best shot we can at getting all the information we think we may need at some point here, rather than having to put 2 or 3 questionnaires out over a period of the next couple months.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt to, or does it hurt to ask, no, I'm not vaccinated and I do not intend to vaccinate it, or yes, I do intend to vaccinate shortly, or whatever, I don't know.
well, this form is just a form that was out there. You're not asking for approval of this. You're just asking us, just showing it. This is informational at this point.
Well, that depends. This is, if you want us to start gathering information, we can send this out and ask employees. Some employees have given it to us voluntarily. If you want us to send this out to employees and ask them, but maybe not follow up with disciplinary action if they don't return it, that's another option. I have a roster developed that we have to, according to these ETS, we have to keep a roster, which includes vaccination status. And so there's a difference between vaccinated because you don't want to be and vaccinated because you have a medical exemption or a religious exemption. So we have to keep track of those too. So that, I mean, I could add that box.
See, I'd like to get these out. I'd like to complete the form, give Rebecca the authorization to send these out. And get, one thing it seemed to me the other day, listening to that presentation, Rebecca, was that if we're making a good faith effort to meet the ETS and whatnot, even though we might not meet every deadline, that's really the criteria they're looking at, that we're working towards it. And to me, to gather this data is a good faith effort at complying.
I don't think there'd be any harm, at least as long as it isn't an issue, to include a booster line in there just in case what officially is considered fully vaccinated changes on us, so we don't have to go through the process again. I'm probably more in favor of holding off on sending it out until we have our second meeting. That'll be like a week after, well, not a week, but it'll be a little bit of time after it goes to the court. I have a feeling the Supreme Court's, I think this is gonna be pretty quick. They're not gonna,
I think so too.
they're not gonna
Yeah.
mess around. They're gonna, the target's being
You want
done.
to predict how they're going to vote?
No. But I think it'll be a quick decision, I think. There's just a lot of pressure on them to,
Get to win by 2.
My feeling is that I understand the purpose of this. I would rather wait until we're, till we need this information officially, because the form may change. We may need to ask questions that we haven't thought of, and then we're sending out a second one. My feeling is hold off on this. You've got a little input of what we'd like to see on there. And then when it comes time that we have to do it, then we do it. And we know what we have to ask, because it may change.
Right.
And speaking of that, if I like the suggestion of where it says, I am not vaccinated, that we put a little disclaimer, blurb or asterisk in there that indicates that, then you realize that you're going to, because they should be subject to the weekly testing
But
and
we
something
don't-
in there that recognizes.
but we don't know that yet. Till
Well,
the
we
court
know,
action.
we know
We
that.
think we know it, but
Well, we know it. If the ETF becomes official, we know that's in the.
That's right.
You have the option. Yeah, I can't.
I mean, this whole thing is either yes or no. It's
Yeah.
not whether pieces are yes or no. It's
That's
whether
right.
the whole thing is yes or no.
that's
So
right.
I'm just saying that we work towards the premise that it's going to be upheld, that we get all our this document lined up and include everything we think we might need and have it ready to go.
Yeah, and then at the proper time, send it or amend it if we have to. Is that what you're,
No, I'm saying that we should get this out and get going.
How about if we do, because I agree with that if they uphold it and this becomes effective Monday, that I would agree that I think we've got a good solid.
Yep.
Again, this is just an information collecting form. What we actually collect might be a different story. And we may need to update this with regards to boosters, and we'll work on it, send it out by email for approval so that we're prepped. That'll be part of our due diligence and, yeah.
I predict that if there's going to be issues with employees, it's going to be the employees that aren't vaccinated. I think the people that are vaccinated are willing to tell you they're vaccinated. They're willing to say that they boost again if they had to, and so on. I think if there's going to be issues, it's going to be with the unvaccinated people. And so I think 90% of this is going to come quickly, and the last 10% would be that what's Rebecca is going to have to devote her time and attention to. And that could take some time with people that don't want to submit, don't want to reveal, so.
why don't we revise it with the suggestions that have been made? And you can email it to us to look at.
Yeah, do you want a booster option put in there now?
I think it's a bad
Well,
idea.
I really, it was a suggestion, but don't you think we should ask Booster, Rebecca?
Yeah, I mean, that sort of jives with the latest CDC guidance.
Besides, if
Yeah.
you take a photograph of their card, it's going to tell you whether they're getting boosted.
Exactly.
So I mean,
Right.
let's ask them on the
Yeah.
phone and get it on there
Yep.
and
Yeah.
what they. And what about the asterisk telling these people what the result is for not vaccinating in regards to employment?
It's fine.
Yeah.
For it.
Yeah, I think we should definitely do that, just as a, friendly reminder.
And then you can send it out, the revised version to us for approval.
Yeah.
Through the email.
But Rebecca, from your point of view, what about those if there are employees out there who are saying, I haven't been vaccinated, I'm holding off to the last, very last minute, but when I have to, I will. Do you want to know who those people are? In other words, you might get, hypothetically, you might get 10 that are not vaccinated, period, if we don't ask any more questions. But what about that? What about if 5 of those people are really just holding out until push comes to shove and then they'll get.
Well, normally I would say no, because I want to have as little medical information on employees as possible.
Yeah,
But having this information does help us to, help us with an appropriate response when there is an exposure. So there's always that. But I mean, if we know, I'm not sure our actions will be any different.
Yeah.
If we know there are 10 who are holding out, that isn't really going to change. I mean, that sort of comes
Well,
into,
wouldn't it change though, if you sent the form out today
yeah,
and there was an employee out there that said, well, I guess this is time to get my vaccination, they get the one and done,
yeah,
they can comply tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
So
so you're saying if we throw this out, if we send this out and gather information on a voluntary basis, they'll be more
No, I'm saying-
inclined to get,
I'm saying that if we send this out, we don't give the employee the opportunity to say, I'm not vaccinated, I will. I'm gonna go out and get the Johnson & Johnson, and I have a date, something so that you say, okay, of these 10 people, 5 of them are gonna get vaccinated, so I'm gonna just kind of wait for their results. Understanding that I have 5 more that's gonna be tested.
so I agree with where you're going, but I think it's inherent, because if we're gonna explain what happens if they don't get vaccinated, I think they're gonna go get vaccinated and then give you this form, as opposed to give you this form that says I'm not going, that I'm not, but I'm going to.
Or if they, they just say, nope, no way in creation, and they hand it in, I'm not getting vaccinated, then realize, okay, I guess this really means business. So they come to see, they're gonna actually go see the supervisor, who's hopefully is gonna say, you need to go see Rebecca. And he'll update.
Yeah.
Simply
I mean,
update
to
the
me, it's
records.
form that's getting it out
And if
there.
they haven't gotten the shot, say, well, you know what, okay, so you need to get the shot, and I believe it's still 2 weeks after the shot before you're still technically, or maybe it's now 5 days, maybe that's, I don't know. That would be something to check in. And so make sure your timeline falls within, if you get the first shot, then you have to wait 2 weeks, right? Then the
3
second,
for the
3 weeks on the
yeah.
second show, depending on what it is. You see what I mean?
It's down to
That
3 weeks.
timeline.
You take your first shot and second shot within 3 weeks.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so, and then if that doesn't, if you wait till the last week to do this, you may have to be tested for a couple of weeks.
Now, if you get the one and done, is there still
There's still a time period.
Is it, there is, I want to say 10 days, but it maybe it's down to 5 now. I don't know if that was
I
included.
think that has to do with
It's, what do you think it is, Rebecca?
I thought it was 2 weeks,
2 weeks.
2 weeks after
Still
you're,
2 weeks, yeah,
yeah.
so.
Yeah,
That's really an issue for you as far as managing this whole thing. It's less as far as the policy is concerned.
Yeah.
It's how you're gonna manage that.
Yeah, all these rules will really dictate the policy that you guys will have to abide by, that we'll have to abide by, so.
yeah, I'm for, I like the asterisks, this is
Let them know.
possible ramifications,
Right,
but I don't really ask them, how serious are you about not being
Yeah, so I don't know if we do that part of it.
all right, well, we'll throw something together and send it out to you.
Well, are you sending it out to us with the idea that through email, we'll by general consensus approve it? And then you're gonna do it? Is that what's happening?
I think we'll only do it if we see where the court goes. Because we don't have to start collecting information.
So that Monday technically with the, right,
We got 3 days after the court convenes and to meet the mandate, which isn't enough time.
yeah, so
Well,
we can,
I mean, really, we actually have until February.
February, yeah.
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 Oh, for this one, I thought there was two deadlines.
Well, there are 2. So for us, we fall under Maine State Plan, which is OSHA approved. That means
Right.
we have until February to get the policy, the roster, employees mask at work if they're not vaccinated, all of that. The second deadline has to do with having a testing policy in place and practice in place, which is another whole can of worms.
So don't we have time enough for you to draft an amended policy and bring it back to the next meeting?
Yeah,
And then we can take official action on that.
Yes.
Well, I'd like to do that as opposed to general consensus.
well, that's, so I guess I'm
Yeah.
confused. So that, the policy is one thing, but the information
Right.
gathering, you want me to get that ahead of when the policy goes out, is that?
Yeah. For me,
Would you like us to take official action on the form you used to gather that data?
Yes, but through email is fine. I'm happy with that.
And I'm saying that if you want official action, I'd like to wait till this meeting.
Official action has to
Okay.
come, yeah, should come before. Yeah.
Well, okay.
But what, Rebecca? I don't.
No, that's fine. If, that's fine. I mean,
I don't want to
It doesn't-
complicate you over Vicky. I just,
no, I would like to do what you want. However you want me to do, I will make it, however you want me to do it, I will make it work. I thought that you wanted me to send out a form that you approved, like next week. But if you want to wait until the next meeting to approve the form,
yes,
then I will do
I
that.
personally would like to wait till this meeting, take official action on that form.
okay, I guess I agree with that because I don't see the fire to get the form approved. Unless you're pointing out one. I don't think you are. So by next meeting, to be honest, I could care less about how we approve the form. What I care about is when we send this out. And I feel that we should not send this out until we're compelled to. Because I don't like maintaining any records in somebody's personnel file that we don't have to, especially medical records. So that's my only, proving the form, how we do it, that's not a big deal. But I agree with Bill that I could go either way on how we approve. If he'd like to see an official action next meeting, I'm good.
Okay. Okay, so how about I send you the next iteration of the form through email, and you can check it out, and if you like it.
We can
Prove
call
it.
it back to you for something for the official.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
Perfect. Sounds good.
Set the mileage.
I move to set the mileage rate to the IRS rate of 58.5 cents a mile for 2022.
We've never had half miles in there
Yeah, we
before.
should wrap it.
No, that's not that's 58.5 cents per mile.
That's 55.5 cents a mile.
How you gonna figure it?
58.5.
Yeah, 58.5.
Yeah, still have.
And I'm just saying,
Well, half a cent.
we've never done half cents.
Well, the only reason I did is because that's the IRS.
I know.
You want to go 58,
Yeah,
Just,
58.
58 cents a mile?
I will second the motion. 58 cents a mile.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 And what is it now? What is it in 21? What was it?
It was 50.
50?
Mhm.
You're on a roll there, Paul. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to move to authorize the treasurer and deputy county administrator to issue checks up to $1,000.
Second,
I have one question there.
Yep.
The administrator's comment was after we go, not at this point.
Yeah, it's not that it's like a can't be done type thing,
Yeah.
but if we're looking at changing banks and changing
That's
signatories
the
and
time
all
to
that,
do it.
that would be the time to do it, yeah.
Okay.
We've gone, almost over a year without the treasurer being available to do this
Yeah,
and function, so, yeah, when Beck brought this to me, I said, well, why don't we just wait until we get done with the RP and see where we stand there.
okay, that's how I took your recommendation. So my motion stands.
so we're going to approve it, but we're not going to really implement it. Is that correct? Is that what's
No, we're not taking, my motion is simply the treasurer and deputy county commissioner at this point.
Deputy county administrator, but yeah, I know what you mean, yeah. There is no
Deputy county, what did I say?
Commissioner.
I'm sorry.
Fortunately, there is no deputy county commissioner.
Yeah,
but
fortunately, yeah.
That's
And
all.
then administrator, and that's what I have written here.
You called the vote?
Did you second it?
Yes, I did. I seconded it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 I guess I did. But,
Yep.
I'm gonna move to pay travel expenses for commissioners living over 5 miles from the county seat. That's been the practice. Is that correct?
and I second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm gonna move to appoint County Commissioner Clark and the county administrator as representatives to the Risk Pool Board of Directors and proxy for 2022.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 I'm gonna move to appoint County Commissioner Clark and the county administrator as representatives to MCCA and proxy for 2022.
Second.
Any other questions? Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 I'm gonna move to appoint the county administrator as the primary point of contact with the risk pool in 2022.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 I'm gonna move to appoint the county administrator as the EMDC representative.
Second. Has that been, have you been the rep? Yes.
Yeah.
Seconded.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, just Chair, if I could, just so that, I don't know if you are aware, but since my involvement on there, I've become the chair of the finance committee, which is also on the executive committee. And I honestly, I really never gave it any thought until I saw the agenda and went, geez, I wonder how that would work if they wanted to change things. So A, I want to make you aware of that. B, ask you, is in hindsight, is that okay? You okay with me continuing that?
I am.
Well, I've stated my point of having a representative on a board that comes to us every year under Department 17 asking for
But the reason I don't have a problem with that, I would have a problem if it was a commissioner. The reason I don't have a problem with it is that those decisions are actually the commission's decision, not the administrator's decision. That's why I don't have a problem.
The truth of the matter is, though, the driving force behind that budget and whatnot, a lot of times is Scott Adkins. Scott researches it, he justifies it, he gives it to us in an amount. And it's tough to challenge that because of the work he does. And so now we have the EMDC rep on the finance board coming to us with a recommendation for the Department 17 handout. And I mean, that just rubs me the wrong way, so.
I agree with your point, but the ultimate decision maker is the commission. And I would have, and his is a recommendation only. And I would have more of a problem if it was a commissioner.
Okay, I understand.
Well, if it becomes an issue, then we know what we have to do, so,
Not an issue.
yeah, okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 I'm gonna move to appoint Commissioner Clark, wait a second, let's skip one. No, move to appoint Commissioner Clark to review and sign warrants with the chair. I think that makes the most sense. He's in Ellsworth.
And I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
I'm gonna move to appoint Commissioner Chair Wambacher as representative to Northeast Development Workforce, to the Northeast Development Workforce Board.
Or, I think that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 I'm going to move that we adjourn.
Second.
Holy, yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.